Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the skill-based minicast. After a very hectic break, we're going to go with that's a good phrase. I like that. It's comfortable. Makes it sound like I was doing anything other than playing video games and pretending to responsibilities. We are back, and we may be one short, but we brought a strong cast today. Starting things off with the dragon himself, Frazier. How you doing?
All right.
Siegelin, how about you, sir?
All right.
You guys kill me with these low energy. You know what? You know
All
what?
right,
No,
you want
we're
me to be
rolling.
hypey? You want me to be
I'm no,
I
no,
am
no, no, no.
fucked up right now.
Yeah, it's too early in the video for. You know what? Anyways, Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
I'm getting us started off on the subgenre of the topic we're getting into, because I don't know if you know this. Spooky month has officially started. It is October. Hopefully we
Yes.
don't sleep on this for a month and this is out of date. Editor,
Oh,
please
let's
fix
release this
that.
on Christmas.
Let's do a
Christmas
horror game
spooky.
special on fucking Christmas. I'm
Yeah.
so down.
Black Christmas, dude. Let's go.
Oh, I
We
think that
titled
would
this
be
the Krampus episode.
Krampus. Christmas or Halloween Windows 7 edition shows up in fucking December.
And the startup and ending music is the Windows startup noise and like crashing noise.
If a horror movie started with the Windows startup noise, I would lose my shit. But until that day comes, I guess we're dealing with the classic gems of our past, because while this is a hobby channel, we are gamers through and through, and absolutely undeniably, horror games have played a big part in a lot of our tastes and things we've gotten into over the years. I don't know why. There isn't a person in this group right now who saw the original Resident Evil case or trailer or something when they released and said, "Oh, that's stupid. I don't want to see that."
Oh no, hands
No.
down.
It's more a
Yeah,
fan of
hands
the
down.
controller.
Which one?
The chainsaw one that was designed like a spider and terrible.
Oh, I thought, okay.
You guys ever seen the
I don't know if
chainsaw
you remember
controller in Resident
the.
Evil 4? That was a nightmare.
Oh, yeah, I remember
sorry,
that.
which one? Which one?
That was more horrifying than the game.
Keep
I'm
telling Dirtle if he'll
lost
do a
here.
speed run with it, I will buy him one.
Okay, we'll keep that in the pocket for later.
All right, but I'm seriously lost. Which one are you guys talking about?
Oh, for
Uh,
Resident Evil 4, there was a promotional controller that was a chainsaw, but you had to like spider claw grip it. It was terrible. It was like the worst design thing I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen
I
a
mean,
dog.
they
It
want
is
that
a-
money.
It's a piece of art.
It's
Just don't understand.
sure. Anyways, what the fuck are we talking about?
um,
About spooky season.
if spooky
right,
stuff.
yeah.
It is spooky season, and we're gonna dig into our vault of all the classic horror games that we have enjoyed over the years, because some people don't like being scared. Some people kind of like the more darker, grim tones of something a little less than traditional as far as the video game goes. I think we kind of cover both ends of that spectrum really well with this group, and jump right into it because I know we've got a couple of gems between all of us. Does anybody want to go first, or am I swinging out the gate with where it all started?
Say you get us started.
For it.
Go for it, man.
All right, so I have been gaming for quite a long time. We're not going to put an exact date, but the first console I ever played predated the Nintendo 64. So it's
Way
been
to
a
date
while.
yourself.
Shut up.
Still not as old as DJ.
I don't know if you guys know this.
I know.
Yeah, no. DJ pre-ordered
he
the
was here.
first.
He was there when dial-up
Honestly.
was the thing.
DJ was
DJ
still playing
pre-ordered the
Hard
first
on
rock
Rocks.
and the first spark. He wasn't there for fire. He was there for the spark. That's how
He's
early
gonna
this
be
man's
really
been
mad
in
when
it.
he hears this episode.
Should have been here. Defend himself. Those are the rules.
Yeah.
That's true.
You ain't here. You're subject
Anyways.
to scrutiny.
Seriously.
Anyways, I have played technically horror games as far back as the Sega Genesis and the Super Nintendo. But games like Splatterhouse, things like that, for as much as they were ahead of their time and really cool, it's kind of hard to translate like horror themes on an 8-bit platform. It takes a real master to do it, and there are very few and far between games that will do it very well. So horror
Seriously.
gaming didn't kick off for me until the Nintendo 64 era. and easy entry level stuff like Quake. I don't know if anybody remember those games.
Oh yeah,
Anybody?
Yeah.
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 I remember you
They were
showing me when I
FPS
first moved.
shooters.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I remember you showing me those when I first moved across the street from you.
That was ways back. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Well, games like that were FPS is at their core. They had really dark gothic themes. They had monsters. The soundtrack to this day, if anybody out there, just Google the Quake 64 OST. You're gonna like it. It's cool. It's man, I can't even think of the words to describe it right now. It's just
good.
really quintessential horror classic sounds. And then it just kind of evolved from there. And then I got stuff like IO Freaks immediately after that. The post-apocalypse happened and all these monstrous people, and they made a fighting game out of it. Game's pretty dope. Had people's arms getting ripped off and steamrollers and shit. And that's just part of the environment. We took a weird detour with Scooby-Doo House of a Thousand Frights. That game was terrifying, not because
Yes.
it was monsters chasing you, but because the punishment for failure meant you had to backtrack 4 hours of a fucking puzzle game meant for 14-year-olds. And I lost my goddamn sleep over that game.
That was the best.
Didn't
that
you
game
make your
stresses me out.
coworker play that with his kids?
Yes, and they have lost a lot of sleep as well. They actually quit and played Crazy Taxi instead because they got so mad.
It's a good choice.
Yeah.
I'm about to throw this disc in the trash. Yeet. And then it just kind of kept evolving from there. Like, what can I get my stupid 8-year-old hands on next? And a little time passed, and that got us to where I'm sure we're all going to have a little bit in common at the very least. The original Resident Evil games back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Anybody remember those
Now
days?
this I can heavily relate to.
Yes.
I have
Yeah,
played
unfortunately-
all of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, with my upbringing, I could not. I did not get to play any of them.
That wasn't terribly uncommon. Like, they were OG horror games, dude. That's where everybody got their start. Some of them were kind of fucked up, I'm not gonna lie. Like Brandon backed me up here. Compared to everything that was out at that time, that was like what you would actually consider a scary experience, right?
Yep. Especially the first, like 1 through 4. Those were the ones that you would definitely consider horrors.
Well, let me put it this way: my parents were strict. My dad did not like Alien. He thought Alien, like the old like '80s movie, was scary. Was like
It is.
terrifying. He refuses to watch it.
It is.
For
Well,
its
I mean,
time, it really
For
was.
its
yeah.
time, yeah.
First time, but he refuses to watch it nowadays as well. Like to the point where it's like they've done a bunch of movies. Hell, they've done Alien versus Predator, and like he still will not. He'll watch those because they're more action movies, but he will not watch Alien.
Because it was a
And those-
masterpiece.
It
Such
was.
a
I watched
good
it. Oh my
movie.
god, that was my favorite horror movie, hands down. Sorry, I know we derailed right there. You guys
No,
go
no,
back.
you're good.
Oh no, trust me. The alien conversation is going to continue at some point, but
Okay, we'll circle around back to it.
No, sorry, my parents just did not let me play a lot of like retro video games that had like the horror games like that. I was very much a shut-in type person. The most I got was like with Mikey and Adrian and some of my friends when I was living in Florida at the time. So you guys just tell me what your craziest things were, that like the games that you played. Or
if
the scary,
anything,
sorry.
I need to
We
jump
got
in
some great
here.
ones.
Being
Yeah.
the topic of Resident Evil, that's definitely a gateway horror game for a lot of people, myself included. The first one was my first ever horror game after so long of being a gamer but never touching a horror game. I think I was like 7, 8 years old when I first played the first one.
Fuck, how old was I then? Sorry. just having
Don't
an
date
existential
yourself
crisis.
again.
Having a mild existential crisis. Continue.
Adrian, how old were you when it came out? And then Mikey can like adjust from there.
You think I remember how old I was? I don't remember last week.
I wasn't born.
I'm just roughly guessing 7 or 8 because I know I was not in middle school by then. That's all I know.
You,
But
you were not allowed to play it. How about that?
Yeah, I was not technically
couldn't
allowed to
legally
play it,
buy it.
but my parents, especially my mother, she's the reason I play horror games and the reason I got into Resident Evil so heavily, or just zombie games in general, is because of her love for horror games and the zombie genre. And Resident Evil was, oh my god, I remember as a kid being terrified, but still playing the game because I loved every second of it. And it went from just Resident Evil to playing every Resident Evil that I could, down from zero to even Code Veronica, all this stuff. Outbreak is
Oh.
one that comes to mind that not a lot of people know about. It's Resident Evil Outbreak. Their attempt at an online horror game the first time around,
Mm.
that was interesting. I do wish they would remake that game, but do it better because it actually could have been something special.
Heard a lot about that. Like people were mad that it just didn't live up to expectations.
I feel that it could have very well been a great game if they just did it right, and I think they should make another attempt at something like that, like an Outbreak 2.
For sure. It had potential. It undeniably had potential.
I mean, the first one, even playing by myself, because at the time I didn't have access to online, it was still fun. I had a great time. Granted, was I able to beat any of those levels by myself? No, that shit was hard as fuck. But I still
Fuck, I
loved
remember.
attempting to beat them.
I remember calling Mikey for just helping me on just random levels because he was able to beat these levels. I couldn't.
I love how kids nowadays are like, oh, Dark Souls the hardest game ever. Clearly, you've never played any straight to fucking Game Boy Disney release ever, because that shit was impossible.
Lion King.
That
The
shit was
Lion
impossible.
King. Jesus Christ. Like my parents got that for me. I damn near broke the computer because it's so frustrating.
I felt that on an emotional level. But before we get caught off on a
I just dated
tangent,
both of us right there, but Jesus Christ.
yeah, seriously. Brandon, that actually, before we got sidetracked, I was going to ask you, the one Resident Evil game I always try to play, and I never had an opportunity to. Every time I got my hands on the disc, it was either broken or something came
I
up.
know that pain.
Yeah, back in the day, man, before them digital downloads.
Mm-hmm.
How was Zero? Because that was the one I never got a chance to play to this day. I actually recently just got an emulated copy of it, so I'm gonna start it eventually. It's on my back burner right now.
It's fantastic. I will say that every Resident Evil game, up from like 0 all the way to 4, they're all fantastic. Especially 0. That one right there made me afraid of leeches for a while, and I'm like, there's there's a likeliness of me getting a leech attached to me while I'm in the water is pretty low, but still, the fact that
Maybe not where you live, actually.
now where I live, yeah,
Where you live.
yeah, where I live, that is highly unlikely, but still, that was a fantastic game. I feel that the beginning level on the train is iconic.
That opening cinematic that they use for the trailer, where all the lights go out on the train, and then when it blinks back on, it's the eye and it zooms out. That was hands down some of the coolest marketing I've ever seen. I'm like, I need to play that. But as fate would have it, I'd have to wait till 2021 before I finally got a working copy of that shit.
Yeah, it is definitely one of those games, and trust me, I've felt that pain too, because that game was so sought after that a lot of the discs that you would try to purchase from places like Walmart, GameStop, whatever, a lot of them were ruined to the point where it would be a miracle if you get it working. I remember at one point I had the GameCube version of it and it came with 2 discs, and the first one,
Holy shit.
the first one was fine, but if I tried to do the second disc, it was impossible. I couldn't get that thing to work, so I technically only beat half the game until later, where I was able to find another GameCube version of it, and the second disc actually worked. So yeah, the struggle back then of playing that game was real, but damn, was it worth it?
The stress of the level of stress a real good horror game could put into you is it happens. People are like, "Oh, it's just a game,
Oh,
chill out, blah blah blah. There's no consequences." No, your blood's pumping, you're sweating, you're nervous.
you're
I hated the
screaming at the
days where
TV.
yeah, I hated the days where you had to swap 2 discs because every time you took it out, there's something in the back of your mind like, "Fuck, what if the second one doesn't work?" It just was so much worse.
God,
Head's already in a bad space.
yeah. No, I didn't do the horror game, but the Star Wars games though. When they had the multiple disc thing, that scared the shit out of me.
Oh, I remember that. I
Yeah.
think we actually lost a copy of Kotar to that.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Back on topic. That just hit me.
I still have actually I have mine in arm's reach right now. I'd open up my desk, but I'm sure one of my tools will fall out and make a shit ton of noise. Mechanic problems. I got screwdrivers everywhere except for the one time we fucking needed them last week. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know that feeling. That was like last week.
I was still a little tense from gaming last night because 2021, I'm still playing horror games. Brandon and I were playing duos on Hunt Showdown. Oh man, I don't like the swamp as a concept. Everything about it pisses me off. The last thing it needs is a colony of sentient leeches called a water demon to pull me under and fucking bleed me out. Giant fucking bug infested zombies that scream and like wail like a banshee as they're killing you, and other players with that sweet, sweet Springfield rifle hit me in the forehead from 900 yards out. That shit has me so stressed out when we play, but I can't get enough of it.
Hunt Showdown is definitely a great mix of horror game and survival type games like Escape from Tarkov. A good mix, and I love it. The stress of being in a gunfight against another player, but also have to watch your back or where you're going because you can run into a zombie, or classic is running into a pack of hellhounds and you're done.
Oh, dude, and the dark maps. How many games in recent years, other than oh god, Biohazard, have effectively used darkness to sell horror? Like realistically, I feel like the newest Resident Evil is super bright, and maybe I'm just crazy. There are maps on Hunt Showdown where you can't see more than like 7-8 feet, and if you brought a scope, good luck, idiot. You're gonna be using that thing to hit people with. That's about how helpful it's gonna be.
Granted,
Like,
I
ugh,
do see
what?
I do see what you're talking about, but I will say that the last two Resident Evils have definitely brought back that horror aspect that I missed so much from the series.
The most recent one, I feel like it's definitely there. It feels really bright to me, and that just kind of it's not a bad thing. I think you can effectively do horror in a in a bright,
Eh.
vibrant setting.
I think they
It's
were
just harder to
going
So
sell.
I think they were going
I
for
feel
a
like
more Resident Evil 4 vibe with that one.
Yeah.
Resident
In
Evil
my
4
opinion,
is
it's
dark in
definitely
some
more
parts.
folk horror than
wait, okay,
like
hold on. Which one was 4? Because
anything else.
I did play one of the Resident Evils all the way through. Was
Resident Evil
4 with
4.
Shiva?
4.
Resident Evil 4 was the one where you had to rescue the president's daughter as Leon Kennedy.
Okay, then I did not play that one. I think it was 5 that I played.
Yeah, Shiva and Chris is Resident Evil 5.
Okay, so
That
like I
one's
said, I
fun.
never really played any of
Yeah,
these
that one's
outside.
That
fun, but
one's
it's definitely
fun.
not a horror game.
Yeah, it's not horror, but it's
But
fun.
yeah, no, that
Oh, it's action
definitely felt like a
adventure as fuck.
shooter. It felt
Yeah.
like a
Yeah,
shooter.
Actually, the
felt like
DLC
if
for that was a
John Woo did
nightmare.
Resident Evil. Or what'd you say, Adrian?
Remember the DLC for that, Mikey? That was a nightmare.
Oh yeah, that was good.
Oh, don't even start with me.
I don't think we've
I
ever
love those
finished
games.
that,
I really do. There are some stress-inducing levels in these games.
especially when it's us.
I
I mean,
remember
co-op is in our nature.
yeah, I remember doing that DLC with my buddy Wolf. We barely made it through that on the hardest difficulty.
Jesus.
Why were
Yeah, it
you
is
swinging
definitely
at the hardest difficulty?
Oh, I don't know,
Why
man.
not?
Why not?
good answer.
Oh my! All right, so we jumped really far ahead right there. Let's take it back. Let's go back to some of the older ones because from like 1999 to 2021 very quickly, and there's a lot of golden stuff in the middle that we very much skipped over.
How about How about we touch on the Silent Hill series?
Oh, he read my fucking mind. Let's go.
Let's fucking go. The first three. Oh, I love them.
Dude, Silent Hill is always going to have a special place in my heart because it doesn't do in your face horror all the time. The creepy atmosphere
Yeah.
it sets sells every single time. Have you ever been playing and it's dead silent? You're like, this is a trap. There's something here to kill me. I just fucking know it.
If I don't hear music or I hear boss music, I know there's something wrong.
That's a classic horror game trope, but it gets people every time. I love it.
Seriously.
Oh,
like, hold up, let me save real quick. Like, I need a manual save, not like trust the auto save.
I remember when I first was introduced to Silent Hill, and this was even before like I got played Resident Evil, the first game. I was first introduced through the movie, the first one, and I was
Really?
like 4 or 5 years old at the time. I walk into my living room. I walk into my living room, and my parents are watching it on the TV. They don't know I'm there, but I'm just watching it around the corner. And it's the end of the movie, like the scene where the girl is on the table and there's like all the barbed wire and the blood and all this shit. And I remember being so creeped out and so scared, but little me couldn't avert his eyes away from the TV. I remember being terrified of sleeping for like a week.
That's how you know it's a good one. That's a classic right there. When that shit fucks you up
And
you're
then
not okay for the next couple days.
and then this I started playing the games, I would say sometime later at probably 9, 10, after I've already, had my fair share of Resident Evil games, and I decided to play the Silent Hill trilogy because I remember seeing them on the shelves for cheap at a GameStop, and I was like, I have to try these, and boy, was I not disappointed. The
It was a lucky
eerie.
find, man.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
lucky. It was hella lucky. They were the only ones they had, and they were for cheap. I would say like below $10 on sale.
Wow.
And
Damn.
I think it was PlayStation
you forgot those.
2.
Yeah, seriously, send them.
Fuck, I don't know. I don't. Sadly, I wish I never got rid of them. But it was PlayStation 2, the original trilogy, and I remember putting in the first one, and the immediate first area already creeped the hell out of me. Just the eerie silence, and then the what sounds like I think it was like one of like the nurses, the noise they make, and
Oh yeah, that like muffled gasping.
yeah, it's all you hear, and maybe just a slight bit of like wind going down the hallway, and it's the first area. I hear this noise off screen. You don't even see the nurses, but the game is forcing you to walk like downward, and it's intentionally making it so you hear the noise coming closer, but you don't see the nurse, and it's intentionally just creepy. I remember the monsters of that game, the various creatures. Most you just wanted to run away from. You don't want to attempt any sort of fight because that game, there was no fighting most monsters or enemies just because of the sheer fact that you don't want to waste ammo or any sort of resources. That game was truly a survival horror.
You can realistically count the amount of times you resupplied on ammo on your 10 fingers through the first half of the game.
Oh my god.
Oh, Jesus.
It was a
Yeah.
nightmare. I learned that the first playthrough, and I'm like, I'm stuck. I have to do this again because I can't move on. I'm literally out of everything. And I'm trying to kill a fucking pyramid head.
Resident Evil made this sound so easy. What's happening here?
And Silent Hill comes and takes it all away.
Straight up.
Thought you were safe. No, you were not.
You get a shotgun and you're like, oh, this is going to be really effective. And you find out it's only kind of better than that pistol you've been using for like 5 hours.
Yeah,
And there's
kind
almost
of.
no ammo.
What's your
man.
experience with the games? Anyone?
Anybody gonna go, or is it gonna be lunatic
I
me who's played too many horror
I
games?
think, like I said, I only played Resident Evil 5 really all the way through. I played the arcade Resident Evil, or what was it? That House of the Dead.
Oh,
Did you just
House of the
did you just
Dead.
do that?
Yeah, that is so
Yeah,
rude.
he did.
Yeah.
He did. I'm
No, hey,
insulted.
like I said,
Do you know
yeah,
what
okay,
you're
you guys
doing?
all
doing?
should be insulted. You all should
Like-
be insulted because I'm fucking a sheltered kid, all right?
Do you know what you have done?
you're-
Yes, I know I pissed you off. Good. Mission accomplished.
Wait, did I transmit through Steve's mic?
I don't know. You might have.
Possible.
It's all light up.
Oh, I also did just bump it. I am currently doing some.
I can't remember. Well, all that shit aside, I can't remember what game I played on the arcade with you guys, but
It was probably House
was
of the Dead. We love that shit.
yeah, no, but there was another game too, like another zombie game that like freaked me the fuck out because there were like dogs. I know there's dogs in Resident Evil, but there was like dogs in this game as well,
Also,
and
House
it
of the
was an arcade.
Was it
game.
in that little like black and red box that you had to sit in, or was it a standing game?
Maybe. I think it was no, it was a standing game.
Okay,
I
it was probably
think.
House of the Dead then. I can't think of what else it would be.
I'm pretty sure
Okay,
House
that's
of the
probably
Dead
why I
has
got
dogs.
confused because I know
enemies.
Resident Evil has those dogs, and those fuckers terrify me.
It's entirely possible.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Sorry
First,
about
the
that,
first
guys.
encounter with those dogs in the original Resident Evil was a nightmare. Trying to hit
Yeah,
those
no,
motherfuckers was impossible. It felt like.
Oh, seriously. No, but I don't know why my brain connected like a standing arcade game with those dogs like bursting through the windows for I think it was that was Resident Evil, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
That
like I
was
said,
definitely
I never really got to play them, so I get them confused a lot. But yeah, that freaked the fuck out of me.
I will say they definitely did a good job on the dog model for being
seriously.
for those games way back in the day. Those are generally for their time pretty creepy enemies and
Yeah.
difficult to deal with. So it's like it's the 2 for 2 there.
Oh yeah. Hope you guys don't mind me jumping in here because I had my meltdown and screamed into the void.
Yes.
I did
Sorry.
remember it was a Resident Evil guy. I have way more experience playing those games. I love the classic stories. Silent Hill was a type where I've years and I've gone back and played some of them. I love them, dude. I think it's so fun being immersed to the point where you feel like you need to conserve ammo. You need to conserve any healing items. I wonder what that tool I found 2 hours ago is for. Like from creeping around the corridors trying to sneak past nurses. Some of the really, if you especially get deep into the lore, these bosses are such twisted designs. At a base level, they're really abhorrent concepts, and then they made like a manifestation of them for you to encounter and like have to deal with. And depending on which game you're in, they're just different kinds of crazy. Whether it's like the embodiment of survivor's guilt being this gnarly impaled pyramid head. Some of the more crazy things we can't even fucking talk about on this kind of platform.
Yup.
Being the
Yeah.
abstract father and things like that. Like it is a wild, twisted design, and when I was a kid, I'll admit they were a bit much. I had to step away for a little bit, but as I've gotten older, I've very much fallen in love with that kind of horror and like the crazy shit people can come up with compared to, and I don't want to put any specific titles on blast. Other AAA title horror games that have come out in recent years that look like they were directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
No comment.
Yeah. I know.
I had a feeling there'll be
exactly
a
which one you're
silence after
talking
that
about,
hot
Mikey.
Like, I can't name any names, but there's one zombie game out there where the boss turns into a fucking T-Rex instead of a zombie when he takes the formula. And I'm like, who is this? Why is Michael Bay making decisions for this company?
Wait, were there enough explosions though?
Okay, I know Fraser hasn't played that game. Has anybody else played that game?
I might have.
I don't think so.
Oh wow, just me. Fuck.
I'm just going off the
Huh.
Michael Bay needing explosions and shit.
I would literally need a name if tell you if I have or not.
I'm putting it in the chat right now.
Oh yes, that one. And I have I've played it plenty of times,
Yeah,
solo and co-op.
no, I
That
haven't
makes a
played it,
lot
but
of
I've watched
sense.
playthroughs of it, and what the fuck?
Oh man, I don't even want to think about that game right now. It's not fun.
And I'm not gonna say it's a bad game, but it wasn't the action. Or, okay, sorry, it wasn't the horror thriller they marketed it as. It was a full action-packed shoot 'em up, where at one point you punch a dinosaur because it has a weak point. This will kill it. You know, and it's like bullshit. It's a fucking T-Rex. Don't come at me with that
You ever
nonsense.
watch Jurassic Park?
That easy. They would have been off the island a lot faster.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Mm.
Goldblum would have been punching dinosaurs that whole time.
Life finds a way.
Life finds a way and he punches
Finds
it
a
so hard
way.
its head explodes. I wish. Where's that parody? I'll watch that.
Seriously.
Oh man.
Ugh.
Does anybody else have any out of left field titles we
Give
can
you
drop?
one.
Because
Well,
That's
this isn't
all
really.
the
I-
titles I have.
I do, but I am going to be
I-
honest here, running out of time, and I think we should save this conversation for the next one, a part 2 in our talk of horror genre and just games that we pretty much had nightmares and terrified ourselves as a kid.
Okay, I could
So
definitely
fucking
give
down.
you one. It's not even a
down for
horror
that.
game, and it still gave me nightmares.
all right, do we want to end on a good Frasier out of left fielder? I'm down.
Yeah.
I'm in.
This is
All
one more. Let's
Frasier,
go.
wrap us up with the sending note.
Okay. Wait. What am I doing again?
Telling your story, fucker.
Tell your story. Let's end it on a good
Okay,
note.
fine. So this is not a horror game at all. Like I said, my parents did not like horror at all. I was very sheltered. I did not get to play a lot of video games until I moved across the street from Mikey. So I played a lot of like the Harry Potter type games, like like the
God.
story-based games, which I really do love story games. But so this one that freaked me out the most out of every game was number 2. When you had to fight Aragog, the fucking giant ass spider, because I was afraid of
That's
spiders at
fair.
the time. That shit scared like you had to get him up in the air, hit him a bunch of times on like the widow, like the Black Widow like hourglass thing. He's for some reason Aragog had that on his fucking like body or whatnot. That's where you had to hit. But he would like just drop down and like the spiders would drop it down. I'm like, no. I'm fucking done with this shit. I don't want to play this at all. That shit scared the fuck out of me as a kid. I would wake up in the middle of the night like, where the fuck are the spiders?
Dude, what a good note to end on. Because Frasier, I believe that there are family games out there, and I'm gonna name one right now because I don't know if anybody else is old enough for this one. Banjo Kazooie has a boss battle.
Oh,
It's
yes.
a giant, gnarly, mangled mechanical shark that you encounter as a jump scare underwater. But it's an E for everybody kids game. And that shit fucked me up for like 2 weeks.
Seriously, that was the same for Aragog with me. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I have a fear of fucking spiders.
Every family game had one of those moments, and I swear the developers did it on purpose. But that is a good one to wrap up on, because when we come back for part 2, I have a tangent. I'm gonna be swinging on I'm gonna be firing all cylinders, guys. I'm swinging for the fences. We're going for it because there is a game I am very fond of that's not a lot of people have heard of, and it is specifically based on phobias. And the arachnophobia level, if you're genuinely afraid of spiders, will actually kill you. We're gonna get back to that next time. And I didn't mean to cut you off, but Brandon said we are running up on time, so let's just save it when we come back to this. And I'm sure it's going to be 9 weeks because our schedule is full.
I need a minute.
I'm gonna walk outside. I don't even smoke. I'm gonna get a cigarette. I'm gonna cry
Memories
for a little
flooding
bit.
I'm gonna
in.
go hit my fucking pen right now. Jesus Christ.
The memories are flooding in, man. Just breathe.
Yeah.
Angrily
I will
vapes into
see
the
you
void.
guys later. Fuck this. I'm
All right.
out.
That is Frasier signing off. Let's get Adrian one more time.
Goodbye.
We do that from a well. Anyways, Brandon.
It's been good. I enjoyed this a lot.
Thank you for sticking with us, folks, and come back for the next one. I'm very excited about it. We just cracked open the lid. We're about to dump all this shit out. So until next time, and enjoy your October.